A column was published last month at the start of June on the website of the Guardian newspaper titled Why We Should Close Women's Prisons and Treat Their Crimes More Fairly. Let's just read that again. Why we should close women's prisons and treat their crimes more fairly. If it wasn't obvious to you by the title, the argument put forward is that we should abolish female prisons and somehow that makes things more fair. Let's go ahead and read it. Women almost never scare us, commit random acts of serious violence, violate our sexual integrity, or form organised crime networks, and yet their prison numbers are now the highest in recorded history. See, this outlines one of my main criticisms of modern third wave feminism. And don't be fooled, this is very much a feminist piece. When it comes to high paying jobs or positions of power like politicians, something deemed desirable by feminists, they're like, yes, women should be equal to men, the equal representation, which I totally agree with in things like politics and other high-paying professions. There should be more women in them. I completely agree with that. But when it comes to something negative like these crime statistics or imprisonment statistics, they're like, no, there must be some type of injustice here. Women can't commit crime. Yet they still claim they're for equality. It's not even as if women have anywhere near the same imprisonment rates as males. In the UK, there are 20 times more male prisoners than female, with females making up 5.5% of inmates in England and Wales, 4.4% in Scotland, and 2.2% in Northern Ireland. We see similar figures in the US, with 93.3% of inmates being male. Let's read on. Women, who constitute slightly more than 50% of the population, commit about only 20% of crime, and yet they only make up 5% of inmates in Britain. Yeah, because that's totally equal. Moreover, when it comes to sexual offences, rounded off to the nearest whole number, women constitute 0% of all offenders. That's right, zero. Now, this really irks me. This idea that women don't rape or don't sexually assault men. This just isn't true. The reason why this figure is so low, nearly non existent, is because in our society, women can get away with things that if a man did, he would be charged with sexual assault. And it's also because males are a lot less likely to recognise when they have been assaulted, and even when they do, they are much more less likely to report it. It's a trope that's been perpetuated in pop culture, a woman squeezed in the behind of a passing waiter in a restaurant, which is just seen as a woman being sexually confident. Yet if it was a man, he would have just assaulted her, he would have been seen as a pig, portrayed as a pig. Men are also less likely to want to talk about an assault because of other men's attitudes. Look at the film Horrible Bosses. Charlie Day's character talks to his friends about how he feels he's being sexually harassed in the workplace, and their responses are, "You won't get any sympathy from us about this," and "That's great, just fuck her." And in Horrible Bosses 2, it's actually revealed in the closing scene of the film that Charlie Day's character is fully raped by Jennifer Aniston, and it's played off as a joke. Now, I'm not going to demonize these films. I'm not going to say that they victimize male victims or that they're sexist, because I understand the difference between an attack and comedy. It's comedy. I found it quite funny, but it does show society's attitudes towards male victims, and it shows how people treat men when they've said they've been sexually assaulted or raped, especially if it's by a woman. The Silent Suffering report by Kemi Baidlock states that as little as 3.9% of male victims of sexual assault and rape actually come forward afterward. Now, some may argue that a vast majority of these assaults were perpetrated by other men, but a survey by the Bureau of Justice Statistics in the US found that 46% of male victims reported a female perpetrator. Now, on the topic of why the figure of male rapes perpetrated by females is so low, the reason is that in the UK, rape is defined as forcible penetration by someone with a penis, i.e., a man. Even in the US, up until 2013, the definition was the carnal knowledge of a female forcibly and against her will. So it wasn't even necessarily a male perpetrator, it was just only females can be raped. They updated it in 2013 to penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without the consent of the victim. So that does include men, but it still doesn't really include females raping men. Even when a woman penetrates a man with a foreign object in the UK, it's a sexual assault, not a rape, although it is technically a rape in the US. However, if we include forced envelopment as a form of rape, i.e., a penis or appendage being forced to penetrate an orifice by the person being penetrated, sometimes referred to as made to penetrate, we see a whole different story. The Centre for Disease Control, the CDC's National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Report of 2010, is one of the few official reports that actually include made to penetrate statistics. Now, one point of criticism with this report is that it uses the notorious 1 in 5 statistics for female rape victims from the CSA study, which has been proven to be exaggerated, but since it doesn't matter too much to my argument, I'll overlook it for now. Over their lifetime, roughly 5% of men, or 1 in 21 men, have been forced to penetrate, which is probably pretty close to what the actual number of female rape victims is, but again, I'll let it slide. This number translates to 5.45 million men. And if we look at the prevalence of females experiencing forced penetration and males forced to penetrate in the last 12 months, we see that the figures are practically identical. And later in the report, the male respondents reported around 79.2% of the perpetrators to be women. So this idea that women are so much less likely to sexually assault or rape someone is just wrong. Just that in many cases, for them, it's legal. The differences are so stark that not only should women be treated more leniently because they commit less serious crime, but they should also be treated more leniently when they commit the same crime as a man. Now, women do commit less violent crime than men, technically, but this table shows the figures for inmates in the US, and we see that even though the amount of men in jail for violent crimes in general is over 50%, and for women it's a little under 40%, for most crimes in the category, the two are only separated by a few percent. The category that causes this massive divide is the rape/sexual assault category, and we've already analysed why that is. But the more noteworthy comment here is that women should be treated more leniently when they commit the same crime as a man. Seriously, this actually sounds like justice to this person. So what possible reasons could he give to support this argument? There are four major differences between male and female offenders. First, women are much less likely to reoffend than men. Their recidivism levels are at least 10% lower in both the US and Australia. Okay, why does this mean women shouldn't be imprisoned? So a woman kills someone and they aren't punished because chances are they won't do it again. That sounds fair. Also, with the amount of male small time criminals who get involved with organised crime while in jail, which leads to them reoffending, should that mean male criminals shouldn't be imprisoned? Second, when women are imprisoned, they suffer more. They have higher rates of mental illness, making it more difficult for them to adapt and cope with the prison setting. And US studies show that when in prison, they are 3 times more likely to be victims of sexual abuse than male prisoners. And here we are, the inevitable victim card. Women can't cope as well with prison. I'm sorry, but you're being sent to prison to be punished. It isn't supposed to be easy. You're there because you've been deemed as some sort of threat to the public. Also, male suicide in prisons was 1.5 times higher than females in 2013. So this argument that they just can't hack it. Yeah, you don't get to say women are the stronger sex and claim they're so frail they can't handle prison. Also, on the point of sexual abuse, the figures are very high and that's not right. But you also have to look at the fact that there are more men sexually assaulted in prison than there are actual women in prison. Bottom line is, it's a large problem in both male and female prisons, and it's not right. Third, society suffers more when we remove a female from it and place her behind a prison wall. Of course it does. More than 50% of incarcerated women are single parents, and even two-parent households. Female prisoners typically assume the main child nurturing role. In relation to non-parental dependency, the majority of carers, 60%, are females. His point is that half of women incarcerated are single parents, which is true, and that mothers often take responsibility of care even in two-parent households, which is also true. But when you look at how few women there are in jail compared to men, it means very little. We can't just not punish somebody because they have other responsibilities. Then practically no one would get punished. It's not justice you're preaching, it's favouritism. Also, how many families do you think there are left without a source of income when the father is sent to jail? Finally, women are often less culpable when they commit crime. There is a profoundly devastating link between child sexual and violent victimization and female offending. US studies show that 23 to 37% of female prisoners reported that they had been physically or sexually abused prior to the age of 18. The rate is even higher in Australia. Incarcerating females is often simply a lamentable case of victimizing the victimized. Because women are never responsible for their actions, of course they shouldn't be held accountable for them. Sorry, but things such as physical and sexual abuse, while being horrible experiences for these people, can't be used to excuse them. With the amount of help there is out there for abuse victims, especially women, there is more than enough resources out there to help these women. The sentencing system should be reformed radically to deal more fairly with female offending. The starting position is that no female offender should be imprisoned. In relation to most forms of crime, they should be dealt with by way of intermediate sanctions, including the greater use of electronic monitoring. This is just mind-boggling to me, how people like this can perform these mental gymnastics to convince themselves that they preach gender equality while, with the same breath, no female offender should be imprisoned. I get that he's in the mindset that women don't commit violent crimes, but even still, where is the punishment here? They can't go out past 7 p.m. for a couple of months. Boo-hoo! What an inconvenience. There's no real deterrent here from committing more crime after, since there's no real punishment. In fact, it could be argued that the reason there are so few female reoffenders is because, as is already stated, 50% of female inmates are single mothers. And it's also fair to assume a reasonable amount of female prisoners are mothers part of a two-parent household. So is it not reasonable to assume a driving factor that stops women reoffending is that they don't want to risk being separated from their children again? Implementing these changes will not prejudice male offenders. In fact, it is likely that the opposite will occur. It will encourage a normatively sound and empirically grounded assessment of sentencing law and policy. This would result in a bifurcated sentencing system whereby imprisonment was largely reserved for only serious sexual and violent offenders. This approach would greatly benefit the approximately 50% of male US and Australian inmates who are imprisoned for other types of crimes such as drug and property offences. Well, considering your whole argument up until this point has been reasons why imprisonment should be a last resort for women, I very much doubt this. You've just included it to seem like you've gave it any form of real thought. The fact is, if this system was introduced exactly as you have proposed it, it absolutely would victimise men. And that's the end of the article. I'll provide a link to it so you can read it for yourself, as well as links for all my sources. I have to say, it scares me that there are people that think ideas like this are good. And what's even scarier is a lot of these people have some type of influence. I mean, with this author, Professor Mirko Bajaric, sorry if I mispronounced that, being the director of the Centre for Evidence-Based Sentencing at Deakin University in Melbourne, these are actually people we're expected to listen to with these issues. I mean, already women are much less likely to go to jail than men. If you compare the amount of men being convicted for crimes to women, the ratio is about 3 to 1, or at least it was in 2012. Yet 20 times more men are in jail than women. Also, when a woman is sent to jail, men on average get a sentence that is 63% longer. This already shows quite a large inequality in our justice system towards men. And this change would just bring us one step closer to becoming the planet Gazorpazop from Rick and Morty. But that's just MaTwaBob.